weekend it was for LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. Friday night, knocking off the best team in the sport in Milwaukee yesterday in a showdown against the Clippers. LeBron was sensational, and all of a sudden, the conversations are, can the Lakers win a championship? And is LeBron James the leading candidate for the league's most prestigious honor? And with Jay Will here all morning, and Doris Burke here all morning, and 8 minutes away from First Take, the one and only Stephen A. Smith.
Surrounded by greatness. Surrounded by greatness.
That's how I feel.
That's right.
Here's the point. I opened the show this morning by saying you cannot spell LeBron without the letters MVP, which I was using as ironic humor. In your opinion right now, is LeBron James the most valuable player in the NBA?
No, it's still the Greek Freak. It's still Giannis Antetokounmpo, but I will tell you that, as I said weeks ago, it's a two-horse race, and it's very, very close. This position that it's a foregone conclusion that the Greek Freak is definitely the MVP. I said it was 20-plus games to go. LeBron is right there because they were the number 2 seed, number 1 in the Western Conference, number 2 overall, number 2 offense in the NBA when LeBron is on the court, number 29 when he's off the court. He's having a phenomenal season, 17th year, 35 years of age, has been absolutely sensational for the most part. But there were 2 games against Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, he struggled when they lost to Milwaukee. You know, you bring that up because the reason why is the consistency of Giannis throughout the year coming into last week's game against Miami was there. So I think that, again, it's very, very close. I think it's a nail biter right now, but I would still give the Greek Freak the slight edge.
How would you respond to people that said, you know, are we carrying the same narrative that when LeBron played in the East, he was running through the East due to the Western Conference being so powerful with the density of the great teams in the Western Conference?
I would agree with that. What I would say in response to that, though, is that's why I brought up him against Kawhi on 2 occasions before yesterday, him against the Greek Freak when they went in Milwaukee. You know, I look at those kind of things. And not only that, the early part of the season where he was trying to ingratiate Anthony Davis into the equation. I'm looking at those kind of things, whereas the Greek Freak didn't have to worry about those things. Again, it's a regular season, but I've never felt it's a foregone conclusion. I picked LeBron James to win the MVP at the beginning of the season, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he did it now.
So you said the gap is narrow.
Very narrow.
What ultimately, 20 games left for the Lakers, 18 for the Bucks. Mm-hmm. Giannis may not play the next couple. Mm-hmm. What ultimately will decide it?
Well, for me personally, if LeBron James continues to play the way that he played this weekend, and there's a level of consistency, and you know you end up like a game or 2 worse than the Milwaukee Bucks, I think you can make a legitimate argument to give it to him because the East is, to me, weaker than the Western Conference. And if LeBron sits there and plays the way that he played over the weekend against elevated levels of competition, I don't think you can deny him that.
Same question for Doris Burke. You said earlier this morning that for you it is still Giannis, but there is still a quarter of the season to go. What would flip it for you?
Well, we're seeing the Bucks do things historically on the defensive end that tie directly to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that's protect the rim, the most valuable real estate in basketball. This is a man who could win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. I think that if the Lakers end up within a game or 2 in the Western Conference standing of the Bucks' overall record, then I have to look at it. And again, it would require LeBron to keep the level. Listen, I tortured myself over a couple of MVP races. Yeah. And this is going to be very hard.
I'll just poise you guys with this. I think the Lakers are up, 5 games or 6 games right now? 6
in the West, 6.5.
6.5 in the West, right? So if you're getting prepared for the playoffs, does it behoove them for LeBron to continue to play at this high level? If you're Frank Vogel, do you want him to sustain this as you're trying to get them ready for the playoffs as well?
I think that with LeBron James, what we have to remember is that we're never going to judge him by the amount of minutes that he plays. We're not going to sit up there and look at LeBron James and let's say, for example, he only plays 25 minutes as opposed to 35, and he scores in 25 minutes. He scores 20. We're not going to hold it. We're going to watch how he's playing when he's on the court because he's been in the league for so long and he's been so great for so long. We're not going to judge him negatively in that regard.
I don't think there's a player in the league who manipulates endgame situations any better than LeBron James. And we've seen that in both of the last 2 games, where in the fourth quarter, when what was necessary was LeBron James to take the basketball and become a force physically, he did that. Mm-hmm. If he needs to manifest himself and his greatness as a passer, he does that as well. Mm-hmm. And in the final 5 minutes of those 2 games against the only teams that are in the same tier, he guarded the 2 best players.
The beauty of what you saw from LeBron James yesterday, for me personally, you knew he's trying to win. He's a team player. He's a basketball savant. But in the same breath, he answered the call. Friday, I'm going to guard the Greek Freak, and I'm going to attack him physically. Yesterday against Kawhi, he posted him up a couple of times. Give me the rock. There's a man in this post. Deal with me. And you saw him do him, but in the same breath, answer the call. And when you're talking about the league MVP, we need to see moments when you answer the call. He answered the call yesterday.
That's why I'll say it over and over again. He wins the award as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I've got to let Stephen A. go. I will meet you across the hall in 3 minutes. And Doris,
by the way,
yes,
speed up your walk just a little.
Oh, I'm coming.
I mean, you've been cruising across the hall.
Yeah, it's like a WWE type of walk-in.
Like, you're doing a model, the runway walk-in or something like that.
It's just my natural gait. Anyway, I will see you there in a minute.
Chippendale.
Doris, we are so delighted to have you. Thank you very much for being here. Get my football crew over here. Take you to Los Angeles, where yesterday Lakers, Clippers, and if there was one thing we learned with certainty, this was technically a Clippers home game. If these teams meet in the playoffs, it will be 7 Laker home games. Put that in the bank. Meanwhile, here's another thing. Kawhi versus LeBron. Give me that 7 times in a row.
And I love the fact that LeBron James took it upon himself to attack Kawhi, try to get him in foul trouble, try to use that upper body frame to really punish a smaller player.
Doris Burke, look at Kawhi getting right back.
Don't take a sneak peek, LeBron, because it's going to be dunked on your head. He's calling out coverages, the spin-off and finish by Kawhi.
And the Clippers had a 4-point halftime lead. This was a game that had playoff finals intensity. There's Kawhi. He goes up high. Clippers down by 1. Kawhi would finish with 27. Now, fourth quarter, Lakers up 4. LeBron didn't take a shot in the third. He changes that here.
And I love that they got the matchup they wanted. LeBron James having the confidence to knock down shots like that. If you have Montrezl Harrell, you have Lou Will, he will take advantage of that matchup.
How about on Kawhi Leonard? Takes advantage there of the whole team, Doris.
This guy in pick and roll action was absolutely unstoppable in the fourth quarter. They went to it 8 times. They scored 6.
Lakers by 10 after he makes the free throw. Then LeBron goes to the bench, but they got good minutes, even if it was a brief spell while LeBron was sitting down.
Oh, they got great minutes. I mean, Anthony Davis only had 30 points in the ball game. He's a top 5 player in the NBA.
Yeah, look at this here on the nice dish from LeBron. Flushes it the reverse. Davis had 30, as you mentioned, and then less than a minute left. Lakers will be up by 9, and Doris, it's LeBron James putting it to bed.
Yeah, on that play, he overpowers Lou Will, who he played off the floor, and he goes to his best target. And this guy just physically, I don't think they have a great matchup for him.
They run a lot of people at him, but no one seemed to have any answers. LeBron would finish with 28 points, 7 boards, 9 assists. He was spectacular yesterday, capping off a huge weekend. And to cap it off, his teammate Kyle Kuzma said, you know what? Crown this man. They were chanting MVP for him. And again, what was theoretically a road game, and the Lakers get a huge win. So I don't want to overstate the significance of this weekend. They play Milwaukee, best team in the league. They beat them. They play the Clippers, who we all thought when they're all healthy and together are the best team in the league. They beat them. So what do we say of LeBron's Lakers this morning, Doris?
Well, I had said all season, Mike, that I thought the Clippers had the higher ceiling on both ends of the floor. But I think what we saw from LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and maybe as importantly, Jay Will, Avery Bradley's ability to make shots because they were teed up beautifully. Kyle Kuzma now going from a guy who believed being a scorer was the most important thing to now believing being a winning player, contributing on the backboards, defending, doing those things, contributing in support of the 2 of the 5 best players in the league was absolutely significant.
I still have the Clippers as the favorite out of the West just because I think they still have a scoring punch. And I do believe that I don't think there was the same sense of urgency from the Clippers that you have from the Lakers, considering they had already won 2 games. And I would have to think that Doc Rivers, Ty Lue, Sam Cassell and company, that they would be able to strategize on what the right scheme is because LeBron James had to do so much in this ball game. You know, if you take the ball out of his hands, who else is really making plays for them? Maybe try to blitz him more. There's definitely no way they showed their entire hand in this one ball game, Doris.
Well, how about LeBron James this weekend? 37 points, 8 boards, 7 rebounds against Giannis and the Bucks. 28, 7, and 9 against the Clippers and was absolutely dominant. He is the only guy in the league that manipulates the game at the end better than anybody else can because of the plethora of offensive weapons he can go to.
We will continue to talk about the LeBron versus Giannis MVP conversation, but I want to bring up Anthony Davis here because you mentioned how much LeBron has to do for these Lakers, but when he was off the court, AD stepped up in a big way.
There's going to be only about 3 or 4 minutes in a playoff scenario where LeBron James is going to be off the floor. Anthony Davis has got to dominate those minutes, and he did, and I think the group understands that, Jay Will.
Doris, can I ask you a question? What conference is the best conference in the NBA?
As Zach Lowe likes to say, the West is the varsity conference.
The West is the varsity conference. To watch LeBron James at 35 lead this team in the varsity